Hi everyone, Freddie here back with the Drummond Daily Uplift. So today we have one of our fantastic instructors, Marion, who is going to take you through a 30-minute Pilates session. So it's a really great one for working on that core control, that centering, all those Pilates fundamentals. So I hope you enjoy and we'll see you again soon.
Hello, today's daily uplift is some Pilates for you. We're going to start standing. So first of all, just check the space around you, that you haven't got anything you're going to trip over or knock over, and that you have your mat to hand. And you may find it useful when we move down to the floor, either to have a folded towel or I have a soft, very slim pillow. The other thing that I like to use very often is a soft Pilates ball, or again, if you have a small cushion, that will do the same job that I want, that I will use this for. So we're going to start standing. So first of all, I want you to have your feet together, and then standing nice and tall, crown of your head reaching up to the ceiling. As we do that, just be aware, as you're trying to grow nice and tall through the spine, that you're not overextending in the back, which will actually just compress that lower spine. So just feeling the abdominals tighten to support us as we lengthen up. And then we're going to just have a glance down at our toes. We're going to take our toes apart and then your heels apart, glancing down. We want our feet parallel in line with our knees and the bony bits of our hips. So just have a little glance down and then lengthen up through your spine. Now I want you to spread your toes, lengthen your toes, spreading the toes out, and then we're going to lift and place the toes back down 2 or 3 times, just feeling that inner arch of your foot tighten as we lift those toes, and that's just going to help with our stability as we work through the exercises. So we're going to take a nice breath in through the nose. I always like to have hands on the rib cage just to start, just to focus on that breath. So as we breathe in through the nose, you're going to feel the ribs expand into your hands. Breathing out through the mouth. And you'll feel the ribs draw away from your hands. So just focus on that lateral breathing, breathing in through the nose, feeling the ribs expand into your hands, and out through the mouth. So do continue to breathe. The other thing I want you to draw your attention to is your head position, making sure that our head is actually on top of our shoulders and not actually creeping forward, as a lot of us do now with our posture when we're working over our laptops, etc. So just to have the head placed nicely on top of the neck and your chin just tilting very slightly down. That will help with your alignment through your body, getting that nice full breath. This is also a very calming breath, as well as preparing our muscles for exercise. I want you to gently draw those lower abdominal muscles in. I find it helpful to have your hands just on the inner hip bones. As we breathe in, we're just going to very gently draw those abdominal muscles in, and then slowly releasing. You're not quite sure where they are, having your fingertips pressing firmly on the inner hip bones. You can do a little cough. If you're on your own, you're allowed to cough. So do a little cough, and you should feel those stomach muscles tighten underneath your fingertips. They're the deep stabilizing muscles that I want you to be using. The other thing to mention as we're focusing on our breath, our lateral breath, is the pelvic floor. So we're going to breathe in through the nose, widen to the sides of the ribs. As we breathe out through your mouth, I want you to gently draw that pelvic floor, that internal muscle, and we're going to go for about 30% lift. And then as we breathe in, we're going to release the pelvic floor down. As we breathe out, the tummy draws in gently and the pelvic floor will start to lift. So if we imagine this as an elevator and there are 10 floors, we're taking the pelvic floor to about level 3. This is going to help stabilize our core and work with our breath and our alignment. So from there, we're going to take our shoulders up to our ears and then around and behind. Just helping to release any tension in the neck and the shoulders. As we're taking the shoulders back, just be mindful we're using our abdominal muscles to support our spine, but we're not sticking our ribs forward and compressing in the lower back. So we're using those abdominals just to keep that engaged tone through the abdominals and the pelvic floor. So from there, we're going to gently take our right ear towards our right shoulder. Now, just be careful not to overflex the neck here. And then we should be feeling a stretch down the left side of the neck. Again, being mindful that your head hasn't dropped forward. It's still in line on top of your shoulders. From there, if you want to increase what you're feeling in the neck, you can actually reach that left hand away towards the floor. And you can actually flex and extend the wrist if there are no issues there for you. And you may just feel a little bit of tingling, a little bit of a neural stretch down the arm. Keep drawing those abdominals in. And then we're going to release the arm and bring the head back on top. So we're going to do the same the other side. Taking our left ear towards the left shoulder, gently, keeping that head on top, not coming forward. And then if you want to, you'll be feeling this stretch on the right-hand side of the neck. You want to have a little bit more length through the neck there, a little bit more stretch. We're going to reach that right hand towards the floor and away. So that's increased that stretch now. And then you have the option just to add a little flex and extend through the wrist. And then release and coming back up. Still gently drawing those abdominals in. Ribs nice and soft, melting down towards the hip bones. Keeping the length through the spine, crown of the head up to the ceiling. From there, we still have active feet. So we've got nice lengthened toes. We don't want our toes gripping on the floor at all. We're going to take a breath in, and as I breathe out, I'm going to reach my hands up to the ceiling. I'm going to allow my shoulder to come up with it. Take a breath in here, unless you have any spine issues. We're going to reach a little bit further, feeling that stretch. Think about opening up this left side of my body now. Drawing the abdominals in. And as I breathe out, I'm going to draw my shoulder down and lower the arm, bring my head back to center and down. And now we're going to do this second side. So I'm going to breathe in to prepare. Exhale, I'm going to reach up to the ceiling. You have the option of flexing over a little bit more, opening up this side rather than crunching through this side. Abdominals drawn in. Take another breath in here. As the lungs expand, we're helping to stretch, increase the space between the spine. Breathe out. We're bringing the arm down. The pelvic floor gently is drawing up on our out breath and down. And we're going to go again. So breathe in to prepare. Reach up. Breathe out. Allow the shoulder to lift. Flexing over as far as you're comfortable. Keeping the abdominals engaged. Drop the shoulder away from the ear. And then your next out breath, we're using the waist muscles to pull us back to center. And again on that second side. Breath in to prepare. Breathe out, reaching up. Draw the shoulder down, breath in here. And as we breathe out, using our waist muscles to pull us back upright, and the arm comes down. From there, we're going to do some rotation through the spine. It's a very small movement. I don't want your shoulders to do the movement for you. It's your waist muscles and rotating the spine. Now for this, hip bones stay facing forward. So you're going to draw your abdominal muscles gently in, those lower muscles we spoke about earlier. My feet are nice and spread across the floor, about hip distance. And then I'm going to just place my hands in a prayer position, my thumbs against my breastbone. That just helps stabilize through my shoulders and stops my shoulders doing the work for me. Again, head on top. Breath in. As I breathe out, I'm going to rotate to my right, my ribs rotating to my right, head staying in line with my breastbone. And then as I breathe out, I'm coming back to center. Breath in here and rotate. Breathing in back to center. So we're going to do this about 3 or 4 times each side. Breath in through your nose, prepare, breathe out, rotating, drawing those abdominal muscles in. We're really trying to keep the hips stable so the hips aren't turning or the shoulder girdle isn't doing this. It's just a small rotation of the spine. Breath in to prepare. As I breathe out, feeling those waist muscles pulling you around, and breathe into center. We're going to go again. Breath in and breathe out. Doing that rotation and breathe into center. One more to go to your left. Breath in to prepare. Breathing out. And back to centre. And then releasing the arms. You might want to give the shoulders another lift and rotate backwards, just releasing any tension. The other thing that we're going to do now is we're going to work through the spine a little bit, loosening through the spine. So I want your hands on your rib cage and just be aware of your shoulders as they come up to your ears. Draw your shoulders down. We want to keep the ribs nice and soft, so just be aware again if the ribs may like to stick forward and the lower back may compress. So we're just going to use our abdominals with that nice spinal alignment. And then from there, imagining we have a clock in front of us, 12 o'clock in front of us and 6 o'clock behind. We're going to use our abdominal muscles and our pelvic floor on the out breath to tuck our tailbone under. So I'll show you this from the side. So breath in to prepare, exhale. I'm going to use my abdominals to tuck my tailbone under, keeping those shoulders down. Breath in, and then I'm going to take my tailbone the other way, trying not to use my glute muscles, but using my abdominal muscles. So if you do have some lower back tightness, this is really good for helping just to loosen that off and keeping the mobility in the spine. So really focusing on using those abdominal muscles rather than your bottom, your glute muscles. Just working, loosening through lumbar spine, your lower spine. Again, if you have certain issues, you might have been advised not to extend too far this way, particularly if you have sort of facet joint issues. So just take it to a range that's comfortable for you. Again, if you suffer with any spinal conditions, osteoporosis, anything like this, you may have been told not to flex forward too much. So just being aware of what's right for your body. Well done. Okay, from there we're going to work a little bit on some balance, which is also going to really work our hips and our glutes, stabilising the body. So I want you to stand now, feet hip width apart again, lengthen through the spine, crown of the head floating up to the ceiling, keeping our head on top of the neck, not dropping forward, and just a very slight tilt into the chin. Now without leaning heavy into one side, we're going to spread the toes. It's going to help with stability. And then I'm going to just, on my out breath, raise my right heel. And if you're very wobbly, that might be enough for you. Your left glute and your left leg will actually be working to stabilize you. And just take a few breaths there. Now, if you're able to, you're going to keep the length through the spine. My next out breath, I'm going to float that right knee up a little higher. So my foot's now left the floor. Keeping that stability, really keeping that length, visualizing a rope, a cord through your spine, coming out the crown of your head. That again will help your stability. So I'm really feeling that left leg working now. And then keeping that length through the spine as I place the ball of my right foot down, working through to my heel. Take a breath in to prepare. The right foot, just lengthen and spread your toes. And when you're ready, the next out breath, we're going to float the left heel off of the ground. And then if you're able to, really center, we're going to float that left knee a little higher. Keeping the right foot active, toes spread out and lengthened. And still breathing in wide into the sides of our ribs and back, breathing out through the mouth. Keep drawing those abdominals gently in. And when you're ready, we're going to place the ball of that left foot down and then through to the heel. Now we're going to go again. So breath in to prepare. As I breathe out, I'm centering, using the abdominals, pelvic floor, ribs position nice and soft, and I'm going to float that knee. Now from here, I'm going to keep the stability through the hips. I'm going to open my right knee out, and then I'm going to breathe in as I bring it in, nice and slow, keeping that length through the spine. Hip bones facing forward, breath in to prepare, exhale, and coming back. So what we don't want to do here is be twisting the hips as we're working. So we're going to go for 2 more. Now if that's too much, you feel too wobbly, you can have your big toe on the ground as we rotate that right thigh. And back to center. Lovely. From there, just check that you're centered, that the shoulders are relaxed, drawing down, the ribs are nice and soft, and the crown of the head is floating up to the ceiling. So when we're ready, take a breath in to prepare. We're going to float the left Heel off of the floor, the knee off of the floor, hips facing forward, breath in. As we breathe out, we remember that pelvic floor gently to about level 3, 30%, and breathe in back to center. So we're going to go for 5 here, and you have the option, if you're feeling very wobbly, you can place your big toe on the floor, the same action through the hip joint, working those rotator muscles here, helping to support hips, back. Lovely. So if you are still lifted, we're just going to slowly bring the ball of the foot down, working through to your heels. Lovely. And then from there, we're just going to loosen through the shoulders, just mobilize the ankles a little bit. So now I'm going to rotate, my hips and ribs are going to follow, and breath in, so breathe out. So I'm going to float my arms, I'm lifting a heel off of the floor, I'm still drawing my abdominals in, and then the other way. So my arms are floating a little higher each time. I'm going to allow my shoulders to come up to the ceiling for this, but I'm still trying not to stick the ribs out. So I'm still using my abdominal muscles, getting a little bit of rotation through the ankle joint, just making sure that knee is following with the hips turning and the foot, we're not twisting at the knee at all. And then draw your shoulders down. As we come down, arms feel nice and light. You're getting that movement through the hips, gentle rotation through the spine, and mobilizing through your ankles. From here, we will be going down onto the ground. So you can either roll down with me, or you can, if there's reasons why you shouldn't do that, particularly high blood pressure or the osteoporosis we spoke about earlier, then you can come down in a safe way for you. So I'll just show you the roll down. So just make sure you've got your mat. And then from there, we're going to stand feet hip width apart, draw those abdominals in, chin towards your chest, breath in. And then as we breathe out, have a softness in your knees, make sure you're not locking into the back of the knees. Chin towards your chest, and then we're going to roll down, scoop those abdominals in. We're going to do a few of these before we come down to the floor. Breath in, breathing out, rolling through the spine. Any neck issues, just be mindful you may not want to go all the way down. Otherwise, if that feels good, you can hang out here for a moment. Breath in through the nose, still pulling those abdominal muscles in. As we breathe out, I'm going to bend my knees a little more, tuck the tailbone under, rounding, rolling up, bone on top of bone, my chest and then my head, the last things to come up. Give your shoulders a little roll. I'm going to go again. So breath in to prepare. Breathing out, drawing that pelvic floor up, the softness in the knees, scooping those abdominals in. As we're working through the spine, you visualize the spine like a bicycle chain, link by link, toes are nice and spread, all the way down. From here, I'm going to walk my hands out, and then just feeling a nice stretch through the calf. So if that's good for you, just having that stretch in the back of the lower legs. And you can increase this just by bending one knee, keep scooping those abdominals in, and then the other. Now don't force your heels to the floor, just work in a range that's comfortable for you, feeling a little stretch through the back of the calf. And then from here, I'm going to bend my knees and coming down to the floor, like so. Now for my floor work, I tend to have either a slim pillow or you can use a folded up hand towel. So we're going to come down to the floor. I'm just going to pop, I know for my neck position, I know that I like to have a little towel or pillow there. I'm just going to adjust this so you can see me. Lovely. Okay. And then from there, we're going to take a lay down. So if you need to use your hands for support, please do. Otherwise, we're going to use our abdominal muscles. Draw the abdominals in. We're going to roll down bone by bone. I'm going to adjust my pillow. And then from there, we're going to take a moment just to center. So we're going to have the feet in line with the knees and the middle of your hips, the bony bits of your hips. Looking down your nose, just releasing any tension through the jaw and the neck. Gently drawing those abdominals in And I'm a natural rib flare, and my ribs love to sort of pop up. So I'm just going to work on that. Use my abdominals to gently melt them towards the floor. Now I'm not pressing my back into the floor. It's just a gentle melting. And I'm going to just reach my arms along the floor. So from there, breath in through your nose. As we breathe out, I'm being centered, tummy gently engaged, pelvic floor on my out breath floats to level 3, and I'm going to float one leg to tabletop. From there, breath in through your nose. If you're able to, take the second leg to tabletop. Now, if this is too much with both legs lifted and you feel it in your back, then you can actually just keep one leg down and we can work through one side at a time. So just being aware all the time as you're moving, has your center changed? Are you feeling your back pressing in too much or too much of a pull anywhere? Has your head popped backwards? So we'll imagine we have both legs lifted. So then on the next round, I'm going to take one foot down, followed by the other. And again, breath in through your nose. I'm going to go up with the opposite leg first this time. Breathing out, float the pelvic floor, float the knee to tabletop, breath in there. My next out breath, if you're able to take that second leg up, do so. Now, as we're doing this, we don't want to feel the pressure through the spine changing massively or the abdominal pressure changing. So the legs are nice and light. My knees are in line with my hips. So this is working my abdominal muscles. Now, from there, I'm going to flex my heels. Remember, this can be done with one leg down, and we'll work through one side. Or we're going to have both together. So breath in here. As I breathe out, I'm hinging at the hip and I'm flexing through the hip joint, heel towards the floor. Now it doesn't have to touch the floor. And breathing in to come back up. We'll stay with the same side, just in case some of you are working just through one leg. Nice and controlled. Keeping those ribs nice and soft, tummy gently pulled in, looking down your nose, relax, neck. Remembering that pelvic floor on the out breath, breathing in. So we'll go for 6 of these. So I think we have one more to go. Lovely. And then we're going to switch to the second side. So if you have been working with one leg down, we're just going to switch now. So before you move any limb, always think about your centering. So if you felt the abdominals pop up at all, just place your feet down. Think about that center before we start again. So I'm going to float both of my legs up as I was previously. I'm going to flex through the heel. Breath in to prepare. As we breathe out, check our centering. Take the heel towards the floor. Nice and slow. Breathe in, back to that tabletop. Breathing out. And breathing in. So if you just keep your gaze down your nose, I'm going to be turning my head to look at the camera, but you please just keep your gaze forward, down your nose. Constantly monitoring what's happening with the abdominals or the ribs popping up as your head popping backwards. I've lost count now, I think we have 2 more to go. Nice and slow. So with Pilates, I really find that the slower, the better, the more focused you can be. You can really feel the muscles working. Lovely. And then to have a little release, you can just hug your knees into your chest if that's good for you. From there, we're going to place one foot down at a time. And then we're just going to release through the chest and the shoulders. And I find this helps with your head positioning as well. If you've been aware of your head kind of tilting backwards through that last exercise, this just helps release and open up the chest. Now, 2 options. First of all, we're going to float our hands to the ceiling, palms facing each other, and then breath in. I'm going to breathe in, reaching my fingertips up to the ceiling, breathe out, draw my shoulders into the floor. I still want to be looking down my nose, my tummy gently pulled in, and that pelvic floor gently drawing up to 30% on the out breath. So I'm just mobilising through the shoulders first of all. Now from there, I'm going to take my hands wider than my shoulders and just turn my palms away from me, so now into a V shape. So I'm just going to slightly turn so you can see that shape a little bit more easily. So into a V shape. So fingertips pointing to the corners of the ring, corners of the ceiling. This time as I breathe in, I'm going to bend my elbows. My elbows to fingertips stay vertical, and I'm feeling a stretch across my chest around the armpits there. And as I breathe out, I'm going to extend my arms away to the corners of the room. Breathing in, my elbows bend, feeling that stretch across the chest around the armpits, and breathing out. Just really help and release through that chest. Now, if you want to work harder through the abdominals whilst we're doing this, you have the option, again centering, of floating one leg to tabletop, or both, as we continue. And this now, rather than just being about working through the shoulders, releasing tension through the chest, we're actually working on abdominal strength. Breathing out, and breathing in. I'm going to go for 2 more, and in. Now, if you need a break and you've got your legs lifted, you can bring your feet back down. I'm going to stay where I am because now we're all going to go into arm circles. So from here, I'm going to float my hands up to the ceiling as we were in the previous exercise. And then as I breathe in, I'm going to reach the hands up and over, being aware of looking down my nose and my ribs not popping up. And then breathing out, the hands to the sides of the room, coming down to your hips. Now again, you have that option. If this is a little bit too much, you're feeling that in your back at all, you can have one leg down into this bent knee position, or indeed both legs down. So if there's any issues with back there, or you at the moment you don't have the abdominal strength, just working those arm circles as I'm doing now. Keep checking your center, looking down your nose, nice relaxed jaw and neck, and tummy gently pulled in. And let's go for 2 more. Lovely, well done. Placing one foot down at a time if your legs are lifted. One of my favourite exercises now, we're going to get into the bridge. So if you feel that you need a little bit of support for your back, if you've got a grumpy back, then I would always grab either your Pilates ball or a cushion to place between the thighs. If you don't have any issues at all, you're pretty stable, you can do it without the support there, and that will actually just challenge you a little bit more. So from there, make sure you haven't used a very thick pillow for your head now, so we don't want to put any pressure on the cervical spine, the neck. So again, just centre yourself, looking down your nose. And what I want to focus on for a moment is just using your abdominal muscles and pelvic floor, just gently to imprint the lower spine into the floor. So if you can see here, I'm just going to exaggerate slightly. I'm just going to turn slightly down. So using my abdominal muscles to imprint that lower back. So when we have our natural curves, you'll find that disappears a little as my lower spine goes into the floor, and then releasing. Now, what I don't want you to do is use your bottom to do that first of all. So breath in through your nose. As we breathe out, we're gently going to use the abdominals and pelvic floor to imprint that lower spine. Now I'm going to squeeze my bottom, and then as I breathe out, continue to breathe out, I'm going to peel up, lifting my tailbone, peeling up bone by bone, opening out the front of the hips, really working those glutes. Breath in here, looking down your nose. And as I breathe out, I'm going to start to peel down from the area, ladies, sort of around your bra strap, from around where you might wear a heart rate monitor, peeling through that thoracic spine first, bone by bone. Keep drawing those abdominals in, keep looking down your nose, nice and controlled, all the way down. Now when your tailbone touches the floor, relax your glute muscles. I want you to feel the difference in switching on and off. So as we prepare for our next bridge, we're going to use those abdominal muscles first of all to gently imprint the spine. Breath in. Now as we breathe out, squeeze your glutes. If you've got the ball or the cushion, we can give that a little squeeze as we're peeling up bone by bone. Just being aware here not to overextend the ribs. I don't want the ribs popping up again. Just keeping that neutral spine around the ribs there. So from there, breath in. And as we breathe out, visualize the knees traveling away from you, just getting a little bit of extra length through the spine, decompressing the spine, bone by bone. Now, if you have got a grumpy back today, you don't have to go all the way up. It might just be that little imprint, squeeze the glutes, and just lifting an inch or two off of the floor, just getting that glute activation and that mobility through the spine. So just working the level that's right for you. So imprinting, using those abdominals, then squeezing those glutes as we peel up. I find that we either have a tendency not to use our glute muscles at all, and we find it difficult to switch them on. So this is a great exercise to feel them switch on, and then when your tailbone touches the floor, we allow them to relax. You can really feel the difference. Otherwise, you might be somebody that's very tense all the time, and we're constantly gripping our bottom, and that's not good for us either. So just to be able to feel that difference and give your bottom a poke. And when we start this movement, we want a bit of a wobble, and then as we go into the movement, we're going to contract the glutes. Well done. So we'll make that our last one.
So I hope you've enjoyed this brilliant 30-minute Pilates session with Marion. If you have any questions or any requests for future videos, then please let us know. Have a great day.